let's do some yoga. So there's this term way back from, Aristotle's time. I don't know if you've heard of it before. I hadn't heard of it before I learned about it. It's called eudaimonic well-being, or eudaimonia. I think that's how you pronounce it. I could be wrong on the pronunciation, but eudaimonic well-being is kind of different than transient well-being. So a lot of times, especially in our culture, we tend to have these highs and lows, like, oh, I'm happy, everything's going well, I have what I want. Oh, I'm not so happy, everything's not going the way I want. And we tend to have these large fluctuations in our emotional states. And we're kind of taught in our culture that this is normal. This is maybe not normal, but that this is just how we are. And that we're encouraged to find seeking pleasure, gratification, and desire of materialism and things like that. So eudaimonic well-being is, I think I'm pronouncing it wrong, so don't quote me on how to pronounce that. But the sense of it is that despite the turbulence that can be around, or the transient joys or pleasures that we can have, underlying that is a much steadier state that we can cultivate, that is equanimity. That there's this place where our sense of well-being does not have to be defined by our outer circumstances, but rather that it's an internally cultivated state that we can bring forth when things are going great and when things aren't going so great. And in yoga, so, of course, this is from Aristotle's time, but even separately, yoga has its own way of describing that. So the gunas, or the ways of being, for lack of a better way of describing it, are there's three gunas. So we have the rajasic energy and the tamasic energy, which are kind of like two ends of the spectrum. And then right in the middle, we have sattvic energy. So rajasic energy is like this fast moving, speedy, just hyperdrive a little bit, where we're seeking outwardly for a lot of input, right? And then tamasic energy is very slow and think like couch potato kind of vibe, where our energy is low. So rajasic, our energy is very high. Tamasic, our energy is very low. And, of course, we're fluctuating between these states. And it's not a judgment around high or low isn't good and bad, or it's just indifferent. There's not attachment of judgment to those energies. It's just part of our nature. It's the nature of our existence. And smack in the middle of that is sattva, which is this steady, balanced state where we are not one way or the other. And this can be seen kind of through a similar lens to this eudaimonic well-being that we're trying to achieve. Marlise Sullivan has done a lot. She's a yoga teacher who is a professor at, I think, University of Maryland. And she's done a lot of work with the vagus nerve and kind of climbing the vagal ladder to that state of safety and social engagement, and how this really represents that guna of sattva energy, where we are peaceful, we feel safe, we feel comfortable, and we can maintain that sense of well-being despite having to climb up and down that vagal ladder sometimes, where fight or flight comes, but we can return quickly and easily back to this state of well-being. So this is one of the goals of our yoga practice, is to cultivate tools within us so that when we do have to go through that rajasic or tamasic fluctuation, which is very normal, that we can return quickly to a state of balance and a state of equanimity. So it's much easier said than done. You get a bad phone call, and you suddenly you're upset, and it's hard to return yourself back to a state of grace. So the more we practice, the more capable we become at not letting external influences rock the boat too much. Of course, our boat's going to be rocked all the time, but how do we maintain that sense of stability? So try to start thinking about your practice in this way that it's beyond just, I got to get my move on and I have to, the stretching feels good, my body feels looser, and I'm ready for the day. All that's awesome. But try to go a little bit beyond, where you start to see that your practice has much more subtle, deep layers of influence in you. And this really comes from a much more subtle practice. It's not, the quick move. Well, I mean, it can be the quick moving, but oftentimes the most aggressive of yoga practices don't serve this deeper inner state very well. Matter of fact, they can kind of create a little bit more turbulence in our body and mind. So also seek the steady practice. And when you're in a class and someone's telling you what to do, one of the beauties of being online is that you're not being disruptive in a class if you just choose to do something different. You can do that anytime, even in a yoga studio. If you need something different in your body, I hope you feel very comfortable always choosing what's right for you. Really, the only guideline for being in a class is that you're respectful and that you show up on time, right? So, but the practice is yours and yours alone. So enjoy the fact that you are on your own in your house so that you can really play with, do I feel like I'm increasing a sense of well-being in my mind, body, and spirit? Or does it feel like what I'm doing is increasing turbulence? So just play with that and see, over the course of time, is your yoga practice giving you these tools? Are you noticing that you're less flustered when someone comes at you with a disagreement or a problem, or whatever it is that makes you turbulent? Are you finding that you are gaining some capacity to stay in this eudaimonic well-being? Okay, so our breath is always our gateway there. So let's close our eyes for a moment and notice this moment. So don't conjure up, past. Maybe this moment has some turbulence. Maybe you just got into a disagreement with your child, or something's bothering you at work, or you got some bad health news, or there could be something up for you right now that is creating a sense of turbulence. But even if there's not, even if this has just been a really peaceful morning with not a lot of agitation, what is this moment holding for you? Let's find a sense of spaciousness in the body. So, of course, we're inviting our breath in, but try to make a little room for the breath. Lift the spine gently. Feel the muscles around your face relax. So even the sinuses and the nostrils have a little more soft space available. Can you drop your shoulders down away from the ears and feel the muscles, all those accessory breathing muscles in the sides of your neck, your scalenes, your traps, your chest muscles? Can all those begin to melt just a little bit so the breath can move through you? And we're just going to start with just a little bit of breath work. So this is very simply called the Who breath. So all it is you take a nice, beautiful inhale, and when you exhale, by breathing out through a little bit of pursed lips, making the sound Who on your exhale, letting it be as long as it wants to be. There's no expectation that you're trying to lengthen super long or push the breath for any determined length of time. It's just an experience of living in the exhale. Notice the rebound. Notice the inhale that comes. How is the quality of your inhale a little different than what normally might come after you entrain a Who exhale? Of course, this can be, keep going, this can be a calming breath if you're feeling anxious or nervous or stressed, but also if you learn to just be in that sound, It's a very comforting breath. It can be a very easy, gentle way to breathe. Listen to the sound like the wind that it is in your ears. Something so simple as a whoo breath can be a tool that you just reach in the pocket and grab when things get stressful. Driving your car, having a conversation, thinking about a problem to solve, a worry, a concern, a difficulty, whatever it is. This is such a simple technique to bring you back into that state of Eudomonic well-being, sattvic, balanced energy. So let's bring our hands to our heart. Let the eyes soften, the skin on the face soften. And make a commitment to cultivating this sense of sattva, balance in your practice, regardless of what it takes. Can you pledge allegiance to this in your practice so that whatever your poses take shape, that they are serving your calmness, your equanimity, instead of serving some other need? Let's release the hands and come onto your back. So as you lie down, go ahead and rest the body. And that's not to say, this eudaimonia can come through movement. It does not have to just be, meditating or lying down and being still. You can have this through effort. This is what we're trying to accomplish. Stretch your arms overhead, lengthen the right side, lengthen the left side. Let's just enjoy some opening in the body. What does your breath want to do naturally here? What does your body want to do naturally here? And then bring the knees into the chest and give yourself a hug, kind of rock around on your sacrum, rocking left and right. Circle the knees a few times one direction, and circle the knees a few times the other direction. Just coming into sensing what your back, your sacrum, your hips feel like today. And then let's pull the knees apart from each other, kind of swoop beyond an angle, let the hip joints have a very comfortable trajectory. Just going back outward and back inward. And then right knee into the chest. Left leg is long on the floor. Stretch that foot out. Start to wiggle the toes and roll around the ankles. Notice your feet, how your feet are feeling. Any parts of your feet that need some broadening, some opening. Feel free to deeply compress the knee toward the chest, or maybe a little lighter feels better in your hip. And then let's change sides. Stretch that right leg, left knee into the chest. Extend through the spine, feel the wiggles through your feet, wake your calves, your shins, the peroneal muscles on the outside of your calves. Let everything find some refreshment. And then let's release that leg down onto the ground. Arms and legs wide on the floor. Stretch navel to your tips. And then as you exhale, knees into the chest, give yourself a hug, squeeze in. Let's do this a couple of more times. Opening up the breath. Expand through your body. And then exhale. Draw in. Let's try one more time. Open up through the expansiveness in your ribs, your arms, your legs. And then exhale and bring the knees into the chest, chin up. And then relax your head down. Let's go ahead and roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. All right, so let's find some cat-cows. I'm going to do some arching of the back, some rounding of the back. So if you pay attention, even something as simple as this can be very life-giving for the spine. But even something as simple as this can also be very aggressive. So lose the aggressiveness, pledge allegiance once again to finding that sense of equanimity in the mind, breath, and body. And then start to move the pose around any way you want. So you can swirl through your shoulders, you can swirl through your hips, you can find any kind of movement that feels good. Don't forget that you have a head and a tail that connects. And then stretch back to child's pose. Take your hips back toward the heels, lengthen through the spine. Feel the reach through your arms. Maybe your arms don't want to be overhead. Maybe your shoulders would prefer them down at your sides. So you decide. Deep breath into the back of the spine. Get to know the back body a little bit. Open it up. All right, and then we're going to walk the hands over to the left side of the mat. Drop weight down into the pelvis. Sink the hips down. Check in with your knees. Make sure, this is very deep flexion in hips and knees. So if your body doesn't flex that deeply, how are you caring for yourself? How are you backing off to make sure that this feels comfortable and stable? Pay attention to your breath. And then let's walk the hands over to the other side. Feel the base of the skull soften, the eyes melt. All the skin on your face is a little droopy and drapey so that you're not clinging to the bones. And take a deep breath. Feel that breath travel all the way through the rib cage, all the way down into the pelvis. Base of the skull is soft. And come back to center. Up onto all fours you go. Lift the right arm up in the air. Find your breath. Exhale and slide that shoulder down. Gaze toward the floor. Have a soft neck here. Enjoy the change of what's happening. How does your shoulder feel? How's the breath doing? And inhale, reach that arm all the way up to the sky. Place your hand down onto the ground and change sides. Lift that arm up. Exhale and slide that arm through. Gaze toward the floor. A little pressure of pushing the hand down into the ground. Femur bones are moving back. Deep breath in. Deep breath away. And then as you're ready, lift that arm all the way up to the sky. Place your hand down onto the ground. Curl your toes under, and let's find our way into dog pose. So what a beautiful posture to open up your full body. So take some time, pedal out your feet. Feel that zing through your calves. Wake up the bottom of your feet. Feel free to bend a knee. You can even turn the knee in toward the midline and lift the other hip high, getting into the outer hips a little bit. Just find anything that's going to help you wake the body up, warm up all the fascia. So movement can be very helpful with this. All right, and then find a sense of steadiness once you're ready for it. Lengthen the heart up toward the pelvis. Feel the femur bones draw back. Imagine that you had a strap across the tops of your thighs pulling back. You want to move away from that strap, so the thigh bones reaching. Isometrically drag your feet apart from each other on the mat here to zing and light up the outer hips. So almost like you want to tear the center of the mat. And then walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Fold, let the head relax. Feel free to wiggle and wag and move, anything that feels nice. Inhale for a halfway lift. The spine gets long, the thigh bones move back. Exhale and melt and fold again. Rise up, push off your feet, lifting the arms to the sky. Open your chest, lean back, cactus, open the arms if it feels nice to do so. Exhale and round in. Tuck your chin toward the chest. Inhale, rise up. Exhale and fold, bend the knees. Find that poo breath if you can. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale. Rise up again. Arms to the sky. Deep breath in. Exhale and release the hands down at your sides. So here we are standing. Close your eyes. Come into the yielding body. Can you feel the roots? Can you feel a sense of connection with the earth? Are your knees soft and free? How do you feel in your body today? Do you feel good? Do you feel not so good? I'm so sorry that that's ringing. Let me turn my phone off so it will stop doing that. Find your breath. Deep inhales, deep exhales. Inhale, reach your arms back to the sky and then fold in half. Find some who breaths while you're here. See what it feels like to have that sense of spaciousness. You can move a little bit if it feels good. Deep breaths in, deep breaths away. And then inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold back down. My video is messing up for just 1 second. So you guys just step back to a plank. I'm going to see if I can figure this out. Take your right foot forward and your left foot back. Breathing deeply. Let's start to, if you have blocks, go ahead and take some blocks. And let's start moving the body. Bending the knee, straightening the knee. Taking some deep, full inhales, some deep, full exhales. All right, I think I got it back in action. Full breaths here. All right, let's just enjoy that movement. How is the who exhale treating you here? Do you have that sense of balance? Inhale, rise up, reaching the arms to the sky, extend and lengthen through your sides. Have the ribs drawn into the body, open things up. Big inhales. Long exhales. Okay, bring the arms out to the sides. Let's just get that sense of the shoulders dropping down away from the ears. Remember, you can always put your knee down onto the ground. So if you need a little bit more balance to give you that equanimity, there's always things to try differently. Inhale, reaching the arms to the sky. Exhale and place the hands down onto the ground. Back foot coming forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Step back with the other leg. So now our left foot is forward, our right foot is back. The heart is extending and lengthening. Start to move freely. Breathe deeply. Coming in, coming out. Squaring the hips, finding that sense of steadiness and ease. Come back into a lunge when you're ready. Go ahead and lift the arms to the sky. Feel the sense of extension, lengthen upward, have the ribs steady into the body. Open your breath, reach and lengthen. Hug into the midline with your inner thighs. Feel that sense of connection, groundedness at the same time as spaciousness. Bring your arms out to the side. Feel the chest broaden and open, spread open the collarbones. And then let's release the hands down onto the ground. Step back to a plank. Hopefully you're starting to feel warmed up in your whole body now. Feel that sense of stability, hugging in toward the center line of the body. Deep breath in, deep breath away. Let's go ahead and put our knees down onto the ground. Slowly lower yourself to the floor. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, and melt back down. A couple of more gentle back bends. This does not have to be huge. Let the legs strengthen and lengthen. Exhale, and come back down. With this last one, put your head down for a minute. Lift up your knees. Separate your feet a little wider so that your legs are wide. Inhale and lift just your legs. Find the work in the outer hips. Breathe deeply. Notice if you're stronger on one side than the other. And then exhale and melt that back down. Back up onto all fours. Feel free to wiggle around, to swirl through your hips, your shoulders, a cat-cow, whatever feels nice. Stretch back to child's pose. Take a deep breath down the back body. Find your who exhale, melt through your eyes. As you're ready, lengthen, stretch up to dog pose. Keep finding that who breath if you can. Every time you think of it, try it out. Try it out for size. See how it feels in your body to have that slow, easy exhale. Open up your feet again, so pull them apart from each other. Feel the zing through the outer hips. Let there be some strength there. Deep breaths in, deep breaths away. And then let's walk forward. Come into Uttanasana. Feet are hip width apart. Bend your knees. Feel free to wag your tail. Move your shoulders. Move your head around. Inhale for a halfway lift. Lengthen through the spine. While you have your hands, so even if you are holding a piece of furniture or something, if you don't have blocks, have a little height underneath you. And then isometrically do the same thing with your feet, where you're pulling your feet apart from each other on the mat, so the outer hips are working for this pose. And notice if you're stronger, if you have dominance on one side versus the other. And then fold in half, bend the knees. Inhale, rise up, reaching the arms to the sky. If you're ever dizzy, just pause and tuck your chin. Squeeze your hands, squeeze your legs. I think I've said this enough, but just in case, if you get dizzy when you stand up, you can squeeze your thighs, you can squeeze your hands toward each other, you can tuck your chin. All this will lift your blood pressure up if you tend to have orthostatic hypotension. Bring a block if you have one between your thighs. Don't worry if you don't have one, it's all good. We're just gonna come into chair pose. Have your knees draw back toward the pelvis and see what it would feel like to balance the effort of a gentle hug of the block at the same time as trying to hug the feet away from each other. So there's a lot of very unique work going on in the outer hips. Balance that work of the outer hips by moving into the block. Reach the arms anywhere you want for chair pose, breathing. So as you start to get into some nitty gritty in your musculature, try not to lose the who breath, still finding that state of equanimity, seeing the forest of your body, not just a little tree. Find the big and the small. And then inhale, stand up, open your heart, lean back, maybe bring your arms out or cactus, whatever you want. Fold in half. Hey, you can still have the block here, you don't have to. Isometrically, feet apart, gentle hugging of the block. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Let's step back to dog pose. So take the block out of there if you feel inclined. You can keep the block if you want. Deep breaths in, deep breaths away. We're going to come down onto our knees. Turn to the side with your shin. So perpendicular for just this moment in time. Hand, knee, and foot lined up on the ground. You can always put your hand higher on a block if you need a little height underneath you. So sometimes we do this pose with our foot here, but for today, perpendicular. Inhale, reach the arm up to the sky. Feel the work already in the outer hips to stabilize you here. And then if you can, lift your other foot up off the floor. Feel that deep work in the outer hips. Your gluteus medius is doing a lot for you here. Your foot does not have to lift, it can stay on the ground. And then release and relax. Come back up onto all fours. Have a little moment of a cat-cow, arching, rounding the spine, finding what works for you. And then we're going to come to the other side. So shin is perpendicular, hands, knee, and foot lined up on one line. You can always put your hand on a block if you need a little extra height. Move the shoulders away from the ears, spread open the chest. Stretch from your sternum to your hands. Find the work of the leg on the ground. Also find the work of lifting your leg in the air. And don't worry if this is too much, if you get a cramp in your hip or you just need to have your foot lower, all is well. So just be where you are. Find your who breath here. All right, and then let's go ahead and come back round. Find either a cat-cow or find your way all the way up to dog pose. Lengthen through the spine. Let's find an inner spiral of the thighs. So inner thighs rolling back, sit bones widening. When you're ready, lift the right leg up in the air, finding the breath. And then exhale and bring your foot through. Remember, that might not be your transition of feeling balanced and steady and smooth, may not be that. You might be in dog pose, bring your knees down to the floor and bring that foot forward. So find equanimity in your transitions too. You don't have to fight yourself to get to where you're going. So find the who breath, smooth things out as best as you can. Come into a lunge again. We're gonna come on up and we're gonna turn and open up to the side. So Virabhadrasana 2, find the fullness of your body, take a deep breath. Feel free to move if you wanna kind of come in and out of the pose. Feel free to do that a few times before staying. Feel the openness across your chest. Feel the sense of space from your heart to your fingers. Stabilize through the deep center body. So there's a lot of core here. On your who breath, it can be very relaxing. It also can be strengthening. See if you can feel the core engage on the exhales. Can you have both a sense of surrender on the breath and strength? All right, let's go ahead and come on up. Find triangle pose. Bring your hand to rest on a block or on your leg somewhere. Inhale and open up your chest. Be really mindful to not put pressure on your knee. We want to stay mobile in the knee. You don't want to lock it out and have some hyperextension going on there. This doesn't lend itself well for the attachments of your hamstrings. Feel a sense of grounding through the back heel. Open up the chest, spread heart to hands again. Find your breath here. Deep inhale. Ooh, exhale. All right, let's go ahead and come all the way back up. Turn your feet the other way. Okay, have a block with you if you want. Find your inhale. If you want to move, maybe this side feels a little more tender. Maybe your knee is a little less stable or a little more stable. Maybe your pose has to be higher instead of deeper, or maybe it can go deeper where the other side was a little more precarious. So wherever you land, where's your sense of steady? Can you find the balance, the sattvic energy, that eudomonic well-being, the who exhale? Can you feel that state of equanimity in mind and body? Can the breath teach that to you and also strengthen you? Does the who exhale give you surrender and strength? All right, when we're ready, let's go ahead and straighten the leg, reach the arm, come into triangle pose on this side. Open the chest, hand can be on a block or your leg. Be very careful to not be hypermobile in your joints. So you want to have a really good stretch through the hamstring, but try not to feel a tug at the inner knee. The higher up you go, the less intense that gets. So find what's working for your body. Shoulders are away from the ears. Once you find your place and you kind of tick off the things and you know your body's in the right form for this moment, feel that and make sure that is the truth. Are you able to breathe? Do you have a state of grace? Is there that sattvic balance to be found in this posture? What does your who breath feel like? All right, let's go ahead and come on up. Turn your feet to the long edge of your mat. Heel toe them in just a little bit and come into a very wide squat. So elbows can be on the inner knees to kind of gently press them away. Let the sit bones drop down. The heart extends forward. And then let's lift the hips up, hands down, heel toe your feet, go back to the front of your mat and come into dog pose. Deep breath in, deep exhale. Find that who breath here.
Let's lift the left leg up in the air, finding the breath. Bring that foot forward. Maybe a different transition is for you. Walk the other foot to follow. Fold and half. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale and melt back down. All right, come down onto your knees. We're going back up, so don't get so excited that we're down. But I want you to lie on your side for a moment. Okay, so as you come onto your side, find your breath. Okay, and we're going to just do a little bit of side work here. So feeling that sense of length through the side of your body, breathe deeply. Okay, we're going to inhale and lift the leg up in the air. So similar to the Vasisthasana that we just did a moment ago, let's see if you can find the line so that you're not tipping forward or rolling back. Okay, this hand can be a support for your head. Now, if you feel unbalanced, keep your fingertips on the ground in front of you. If you feel like you have something you need to add to this, lift the arm in the air. 2 breaths here. Stabilize your core, find some softness. Try to turn your foot in instead of lifting it up toward the sky. Deep breaths. So even though there's a lot of work to stabilize you here, is there also some surrender anywhere? And then let's go ahead and release that down. Bend your knees so that they tuck in. I think you've all done this at one point in your life. These are called clamshells. So our feet, our ankles are touching, and we're going to open up your knee and close it. So it's like a clamshell opening and closing. Try really hard to not compensate with all sorts of other areas of your body. See if you can just let the outer hip do the work of this pose. If you need your hand in front of you for balance, let's take that. Try not to roll back. See if you can stay on your side, just a little tiny, and it can be this big. These clamshells can be the knees can come 2 inches apart from each other or a lot wider. Less is more sometimes, so it's not a matter of I gotta go big or go home. Find your breath. Let's go ahead and relax. Come onto your back for a moment. Bring your knees into your chest, swirl around a little bit. We have another side to go. So we're gonna come on to our opposite side now. So let's start with the leg raises. So support underneath your head. Find enough room. So hopefully you have some place to be in your room where you're at that this is comfortable. And then we're going to inhale and lift that leg up. So turn your foot to the sky. Keep the foot straight, pointing straight. Engage through your core on your exhales, that whoo breath. Try to stack your rib over rib, hip over hip, leg over leg. And then if your balance allows, let's bring that arm in the air. And don't worry if your balance doesn't allow. If you need to have the fingertips on the floor to help you, then choose that pathway. Is it giving you more equanimity to have some support? Are you breathing? Let's go ahead and release the leg down. Bring the knees closer. You don't want them super high towards the chest, just a nice relaxed way of being on your side. Make sure you're not rolling back or forward. Take a deep breath. Let's just relax the hips for just a moment. Just feel the ease. It's amazing how many muscles you have underneath your big, strong glutes. There's a lot going on in your pelvis. Very good for stabilizing. So this pose, this is often given as a PT exercise for a lot of people who have some SI joint instability. So let's open up the clamshells, close the clamshells. And I'm sure you can feel it. After a few, you can really feel the isolation in some of the piriformis and some of the other deeper muscles underneath your glutes. It also helps your glutes. Your glutes are doing some of the work here too. So let's breathe as we go. Try not to have expectations of where you're supposed to move to. Just sense into the feeling. Let's appreciate how much support these muscles in your body give you. Cool breaths. Do you want to exhale when you lift? Do you want to exhale when you go down? Do you want to not match the breath to the movement, but just breathe? There's nothing right or wrong to do. Is this side a little tougher for you? Are you shaking more or less? Do you have more sensation, less sensation, more control, less control? All right, then let's relax. Come on to your back again. This time spread your legs out on the floor like our initial starfish that we start with, and just relax for a moment. We're going to come back up in just a second, so let's just take a moment to release. All right, and then bring the knees into the chest. Give yourself a hug. Rock around a little bit. Breathing here. All right, and let's roll over onto our side and come up to stand. Okay, so find your way to a standing posture. And a block can be helpful for this if you have a block. You don't have to have a block. But first, we're just going to do we're going to do 2 balance poses, tree pose, and then Ardha Chandrasana. So stand on your right foot. Let's bring the left foot in. It does not have to be high like this. Your foot can be all the way down here by the floor. See if you can access on both sides of the pelvis those deeper hip muscles. And truly, sometimes having your foot lower will give you a different way of strengthening the hip muscles than if your foot is higher. So detach, like thinking this is better, because it's not. They're different. All right, so find your way into balance. Feel your breath. Even though your balance may be off, even though your muscles may be tired, is there a sense of grace? Is your skin relaxed and draping over your muscles? Is your breath steady, that whoo exhale? Are your eyes resting comfortably? Let's go ahead and switch legs. I didn't mention the arms, but of course you can do whatever you want with the arms for your posture. So remember, your toes can be on the floor with your knee turned out. Your foot can be on your calf. Everywhere along the way offers something just a little bit different to the hip. So if you always, stick your hip right up or your foot right up at the top, maybe try something different today. Just experiment with what this feels like. If you need something to touch for balance, take support. Equanimity does not have to be self-isolated. Like you can use support of people, of props, of things for cultivating that state of being the eye of the storm. Okay, so find your breath. What do you want to do with your arms? Feel the strength of your hips. Stabilize through your standing leg. That knee is soft. Deep breaths. Who exhales if you can find them? Are your shoulders soft? Even if you're all over the place wobbly, is there a sense of steadiness in your gaze or in your heart or in the center of your mind? And then let's go ahead and reach the feet down, arms up, fold, relax, bend your knees a lot, just let your glutes soften, feel a sense of wiggle waggle through your body. All right, and then we're going to come up to stand, and we're going to go to the long edge of our mat now. A block is nice. If you don't have a block, you can use furniture. I always run out of room for this posture. Okay, so we're going to come into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. So bend your knee. This foot's going to point straight. So try really hard to not turn this foot in or out. Keep your foot planted. Glue it down to the ground. When you're ready, we're going to come up and into Ardha Chandrasana. Hand can be on a block. Lift the chest. If you need support, you can do this pose with your back against a wall. You can do this pose holding on to something. You find you. Remember that triangle pose where we were trying to not hyperextend the knee. Find that here. Find the core. Find that Virabhadrasana you did earlier where the who breath was giving you core support. Lift that leg in the air. Spread open your chest to your hands. Lengthen crown to tail. Be the eye of the storm. Find equanimity. Is your skin soft? Are your eyes relaxed? Can you feel your who exhale? And then a big, if you can, take a step back. I'm stuck because of furniture, but take a step back to come out of the pose out of triangle. I know I've said this before, but when you do an externally rotated balance pose like that, you're deeply externally rotated in your standing hip. And if you come out of that posture from here and then roll the pelvis and put your foot down, that puts a lot of pressure on the labrum of your hip joint. So it's better when you come out of a pose like this to step back on the same plane and keep the rotation the same instead of turning it in while you're weight bearing. Okay, let's do the other side. Find your breath. Okay, so glue your foot. Try not to let it go anywhere. It's just right there, pointing straight ahead. Block is on the ground. Bend your knee. Furniture's nice. You can place your hand on a chair or on your couch like I'm doing. Open the chest. The leg is in the air. Lift it. Lift that high. Use those glute muscles. See what it feels like to soften your standing knee. Open the chest. Shoulders away from the ears. Find your breath. Who exhale. Both strength and surrender on the exhales. Shoulders are away from the ears. The core is stabilizing you. Your glutes are stabilizing you. All right, now when you're ready, a big giant step back the way you came. Come on up. Now you can turn your feet forward and choose. Do you want to have a wide-legged stance, or would you rather narrow up your legs and come into a forward fold this way? Whatever feels best in your body. Relax your head, wag your tail. If your legs are closer together, you can move your body around a little bit more. If you're wide-legged, femur bones back, knees soft. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. All right, let's come on to our shins for a moment. If you can't comfortably sit in Virasana, sit on the ground comfortably. If you're able to sit back on your feet, on your heels, then do that. Long, steady exhales. Full, deep inhales. Let's go ahead and come out of that pose. Okay. You have a choice of how to go about this. Well, you have a couple different ways to have choice. You can sit on the edge of a blanket if that's the first choice, either on the floor or on the edge of a blanket. Your second choice for this twist is to either keep this leg straight underneath you or to tuck that foot underneath you this way. So you decide which feels better for your hips, how we stretch here. So as you cross your leg over, whether your bottom leg is straight, so I didn't say which leg, so I'll just continue not saying which leg, so you just stay where you are. Lift the spine, hook the elbow, feel the hand behind you to help you find that length, and then rock forward just a little bit. And draw, I almost sometimes feel like this is like a Heimlich, where you're drawing the knee in and then hoisting it up just a little bit. And do that and come forward onto the front of your sit bones, regardless of whether you have your knee tucked under or not. Lift your way into the twist. If you want to, at this point, change and take the elbow to the outer knee, that's fine. You lose just a little something, something when you don't have that ability to kind of draw the knee up and in and rock forward onto the front of the sit bones. Breathing deeply, spine grows. What does the who breath feel like here? Let's go ahead and come back around. This is not for everybody, so I'll give you a plan B. If your leg is straight, let's tuck it now and try to find cow face pose. So our knees are stacked sort of over each other as best as you can, and our feet are out on the same plane. This is huge in the hips. The rotation is enormous. So if this is not working for your pelvis, so first let me just talk about it and I'll give plan B. If you're here, you're gonna lift the chest and come forward to wherever you go, all the while lifting. If this is like, no sir, no can do, unwind that. Bring your hands behind you and come into a modified reverse pigeon pose with your hands behind you, also lifting the chest up and broad. Deep inhales, deep exhales. All right, well, let's come out of there and we're gonna go to the second side with the twist. So either your leg is straight or your leg is tucked under. You can be on a blanket if you want. However you want to be in this pose. Draw the opposite elbow around your knee, so it doesn't matter whether your leg is forward or not. You're going to kind of draw the knee in and then hoist it up a little bit. Rock forward under the front of your sit bones and twist. Find your breathing. Collarbones are broad, shoulder blades are down. The exhales still have this length and softness attached to them. And come back round. So either cow face pose where your knees try to stack, mine don't go all the way, but maybe yours do. Feet are on the same plane as each other. Lift the heart. Ooh, come forward. I find this to be an extremely deep pose. So if that's not working for your hip joints, which if you've had a hip replacement, do not do this. It's way too much rotation. So you get to back away and put your foot on the ground and come into a modified reverse pigeon pose. So you can bring your foot as far away from you or as close to you as is comfortable. You can lean as far back or not as back as is comfortable. Lift your chest. Find your breath. All right, let's go ahead and unwind that. Stretch your legs out and just shake your legs. You can bobble your knees and then you can just shake, 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 shake. All right, so let's go ahead and come onto our back. And lie down. Let's stretch our arms up overhead. We haven't done much to open the chest and shoulders today. Just have one more big stretch here. Lengthen through your sides. And then release your arms down. Melt here for just a moment and make sure you have a strap or a scarf or something handy. The right knee is going to move into the chest. Give it a little compression, move it around. Find a spot that feels releasing and soothing. And then we're just going to stretch the glutes a little bit more. So very standard, no rotation in this, just a straight up stretch. So find the right foot in the strap, lift the leg in the air, take the head of the right femur bone away from the shoulder. Be mindful to not hyperextend the knee. Reach the foot up, reach the hip down. Keep the spine in as spacious of a place as you can find. The breath is flowing and steady. And then let's go ahead, take the strap in the left hand, and we're going to cross the leg over. Feel free to put the heel of your right hand in the hip crease and have a gentle pressing away. Open the breath, stretch through the big toe and the inner heel. And then we're going to inhale and lift that leg back up 2 feet in the strap. Feel the extension through the spine, the femur bones moving back. And then put the left foot in the strap. The right foot can be on the floor or extended on the ground, the whole leg on the ground, whatever's working for you. Try not to, reach up. Let the neck and shoulders be relaxed. Have enough give on whatever prop you're using to hold your foot. And if you don't have anything, you can always interlace your hands behind your hamstring too if you don't have a strap or a scarf or whatever. That's totally fine. You can always just do the pose like this. Breathing deeply. Extend the spine. How's the little gap in your low back? Is it intact or have you pushed your lumbar spine into the floor? Nice steady exhales. Feel free to put your hand in the hip crease and press it away. And we can start to take the strap into the right hand, cross the left leg over. If you want to put the left hand in the hip crease and press away, you can. If you don't have to. Make sure you're not hyperextending your knee. A little softness in the knee is better than a hypermobility. Extend the spine, stretch through the big toe and the inner heel. Find your breath. All right, and then come back up. Take the strap off. 2 knees into the chest. Give yourself a little bit of a rock and maybe a simple twist to each side before we lay down for Shavasana. So you decide, does twisting feel like a completion? Does the happy baby pose feel like a completion? Take your time to complete your practice and make sure you've gotten into all the nooks and crannies you want. And then as you're ready, you can come to lie down on the floor. Choose any way to prop yourself that feels good to you. All right, so deep, full breaths in and out. Find the sense of ease across your eyes. Experience a few of the who breaths. Let your shoulders melt. The skin all across your face is soft. The eyes are resting. The belly is soft and free. Your hips, your pelvis, let them feel heavy and grounded. Surrender all the work and let it drift into the earth.
very slowly begin to deepen your breathing. Don't move just yet. Just allow your transition out of Shavasana to be in the breath first, where you start to expand. One more time, melt your whole body. Be so conscious in your resting. Give yourself over to that eudaimonic well-being. Do you have a piece of it? Is there a nugget of it here? If you travel through your day with this energy, what kind of impact do you think you'll have in your interactions? What kind of impact will you have in your concentration at work? What kind of impact will you have on the well-being of the planet? Let's begin to share, enliven your body, stretch, move, deepen your breath. Eventually finding your way onto your side and come up to sit when you're comfortable. Find a good posture. Let the shoulders soften down. Open the heart, open the mind. One last true breath, deep inhale. Let's bring our hands together. Offer your practice, share your energy. Your well-being is so easily spread. So be what you want to be for the world. Everything that you can offer in your energy has huge impact. So let's open it up and share it. Namaste. Thank you, everybody.